just as she was leaving, he revealed an amazing truth that changed everything. Is it fate? The diner was quiet, the air thick with the lingering scent of fried potatoes and sweet pies. Sarah wiped down the last booth, a familiar routine that felt both comforting and suffocating. It was a Thursday night, the kind where nothing exceptional was expected, but tension crackled in the air like static. She glanced at the photographs on the walls, her parents' smiling faces, frozen in time. Each one was a reminder of the joy that used to fill this place. Now, it felt like a mausoleum. Just as she was about to lock the door for the last time that evening, it swung open with a creak. The bell tinkled overhead, and in walked a figure from her past, Jake, her estranged brother, back from the military. Her breath caught in her throat, disbelief pulsing through her veins. Years of silence flooded back, the arguments, the heartbreak, the smoldering resentment. His uniform was crisp, yet his eyes held the weight of shared loss. "Sarah," he said, his voice tentative, breaking the silence that felt so heavy. She felt her heart race, thoughts spinning. She clenched her fists, not letting emotions spill over. "What are you doing here, Jake?" The tension crackled like unspent fireworks, echoing their family's haunted history. Memories embedded in the diner walls clung to both of them, the birthday cakes, the laughter, and the unbearable silence that followed their parents' deaths. Jake stepped forward, knocking over a salt shaker in his haste, the sound clattering against the Formica countertop. "I came to talk." "Talk?" she echoed incredulously. "About what? The years you spent away? You left. You didn't even care." The words spilled out, nasty and raw, the hurt bubbling over after so long. He flinched, and for a moment, Sarah felt a flicker of guilt. But the anger held her captive, reminding her of the years alone, of the tired nights juggling bills and running the diner. As the emotions surged, Jake's expression twisted with pain. "I was trying to protect you," he replied, searching her face. "But what I have to say is," he hesitated, then pressed on. "I didn't just come back for small talk. I have something important to tell you. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." The weight of his words hung in the air like an unsteady pendulum. What could possibly matter enough to break the silence? He drew in a shaky breath, eyes filled with urgency. "It's about Mom and Dad." The truth. He paused, the finality of his words ricocheting off the diner walls. "It's not what we think." A silence enveloped them, thick and suffocating. Years of unspoken pain and bitterness surged to the surface, colliding with the heart of the diner, the very place where they had both shared joy and sorrow. Sarah's head spun. Could it be true? Who were they if not the children of the memories that haunted them? The sense of betrayal wove through her, igniting questions that felt too heavy to bear. She stood frozen in disbelief, grappling with the weight of his revelation, unsure whether to embrace hope or brace for more heartache. In that fraught moment, everything felt like it would tip. What lay ahead would determine if the legacy of their family could be rebuilt or if it remained just another sad tale. Would they finally confront their demons together, or would this just be another fracture in their already fragile bond? The diner felt like a stage, both intimate and suffocating. Sarah's heart raced, each beat echoing in her ears as she processed Jake's words. The truth wasn't just a whisper of the past. It was a heavy, tangible thing that threatened to unravel everything she thought she knew. "Jake, what do you mean?" Her voice was softer now, challenge replaced with confusion. "What truth?" He shifted nervously, the fabric of his military uniform rustling against the diner's chipped booths. "There's a lot we don't know, Sarah. I didn't tell you because I thought it would protect you. But now I realize keeping this secret has only hurt us both." She took a step back, the warmth of the kitchen fading into a chilling blast of doubt. "You thought lying would protect me?" It was a bitter laugh that escaped her lips, one laced with disbelief. "After everything, you think that will work?" Jake ran a hand through his hair, his brow furrowed in frustration. "I didn't lie. I just didn't tell you. There's a difference. I found something documents that our parents left. Documents? The word felt weighty, an anchor pulling her deeper into confusion. What kind of documents? He took a breath, steeling himself. They weren't just about us. They were about our family history. Things that happened before we were born, things they never wanted us to know. What could possibly change everything like that? Jake's eyes were intense, piercing into her, filled with emotions he had fought to contain. It's about who they really were, about their past and ours. It's more than just childhood memories. There are secrets, Sarah. Secrets that might explain why we lost them the way we did, why they never talked about their childhood. A mix of anger and sadness washed over her. So, you think digging into the past will somehow help us? Help salvage whatever's left of this shattered family? I don't know, he admitted, his voice small. But ignoring it hasn't worked either. Look at us. She glanced at the photographs again, smiling parents, young and so full of life. Those moments were cherished, and yet they felt like lies now. The air in the diner was thick, electric with the possibility of revelations yet to come. What do you propose we do, Jake? She asked, her voice low. Each word carried a weight of possibility. You want us to dig into our parents' lives? To open old wounds that could bleed us dry? I think we need to know who they were, really. It might help us understand their choices, maybe even our own. Or it could tear us apart. Sarah shot back, though her heart fluttered at the thought of the truth being a bridge rather than a chasm. A soft sigh escaped Jake, and for a moment, they were both lost in their shared grief. Could they really face this together? The thought scared her. Yet somehow, she felt a glimmer of hope budding alongside her fear. Let us just start with what you found, she finally breathed, voices trembling between them like the last flickers of daylight. I don't know where this will lead us, but I guess we can't go on like this. Jake nodded, hope and apprehension flickering across his face. It's a start. We'll face it together, I promise. As they stepped out from the shadows of the diner, into the dim glow of streetlights, the past felt closer than ever. Each step towards the unknown weighed heavy on Sarah's heart. What lay ahead could bind them forever or fracture their already fragile bond. But Sarah knew one thing. They were about to embark on a journey that would test not only their family ties, but the very foundation of who they believed they were. With a determined breath, she whispered, "Let us go find out the truth." But in the back of her mind, a chilling question lingered. What if the truth was worse than the lies? They decided to meet in Jake's small apartment the following evening. The air around Sarah buzzed with a heady mix of anticipation and dread. She hadn't been to his place in months, and the thought of stepping into those familiar rooms, each corner filled with memories of laughter and shared secrets, made her heart race even faster as she climbed the staircase. She felt the weight of the moment settle on her shoulders like a heavy backpack. This was more than just a simple family matter. This had the potential to unveil layers of truths they both had buried deep. She knocked softly, and Jake opened the door, his expression a blend of welcome and worry. "Hey," he said, stepping aside to let her in. "Hey," she replied, her voice barely above a whisper, as if speaking louder would disrupt the fragile peace in the room. They took their usual seats at the small round table, surrounded by scattered books and old photographs. The soft light from the lone lamp flickered slightly, casting shadows that danced along the walls. She could see Jake's hands trembling slightly as he reached for a stack of papers on the table. "Here," he said, laying the documents down between them. They were yellowed with age, some crinkled at the edges. This was the stuff of their past, the unspoken truths of their family. Sarah's heart quickened. She felt as if they were about to open a time capsule, launching them into a history she had always been curious about, but never brave enough to uncover. She looked at Jake, searching for assurance. "Do you want to do this?" he asked, his voice gentle. Taking a deep breath, she nodded. "Yes, let us see what's in there." With that, she picked up the top document, her fingers brushing against the faded text. It was a letter, written in their mother's familiar cursive. The contents sent a shiver down Sarah's spine. It spoke of times she never knew, of hardships faced, of dreams squashed, and of a life filled with uncertainty. It painted a picture of their family as not just a group of people bound by blood, but by a history riddled with untold stories, secrets, and pain. "What does it say?" Jake leaned in, his face close to hers, their breaths mingling in the cool air. "Things about our childhood. Mom mentions feeling trapped, Like it was hard for her to break free from expectations, Sarah read aloud, her voice trembling slightly. Each word felt like a bomb, echoing in the quiet of the room. And then there's mention of a family member we never heard about. Someone who may have shaped their decisions. Jake's eyes widened. A family member? Who? I don't know, she replied, swallowing hard. It doesn't he say? But it makes me wonder what else they kept from us. Jake picked up another document, his own pulse quickening. Maybe if we dig a little deeper we could find out who this person is. His enthusiasm was infectious, but Sarah felt her apprehension grow. Do you really think it's a good idea? What if we uncover something that was meant to stay buried? What if it changes everything? Change might be what we need, Jake said quietly, his eyes searching hers. We can't move forward if we're anchored by the past. The conversation hung between them, heavy with possibility and fear. Sarah felt the allure of the truth pulling her in, but she also sensed the shadows lurking in the corners of those documents. Okay, she finally replied, determination building. Let us find out who this family member is. But we have to promise to face whatever we uncover together. Together, Jake echoed, a light flickering back into his eyes that as they dove deeper into the letters. Every word held weight, every sentence a new thread leading them further down the rabbit hole. But just as hope began to bloom, a new question crept in. How far back were they willing to dig? With every revelation, the uncertainty grew. What if opening this chapter of their family history would unravel the very fabric of who they thought they were? The thought sent a shiver down Sarah's spine. And beneath it all, the nagging question remained. Was this a journey toward understanding or a path filled with unforeseen dangers? The answer loomed just ahead, waiting to be revealed. The atmosphere in the small apartment grew heavier as Sarah and Jake continued to sift through the letters. Each document felt like a page from a story long overdue for its telling. Sarah's fingers trembled as she pulled out old photographs. Faces she barely recognized stared back at her, frozen in time, shadows of her family's past whispering secrets meant for a time that had long since passed. What do you think they were like? Jake asked, peering over her shoulder, curiosity sparkling in his eyes. I don't know, Sarah replied, tracing the outline of a woman with striking eyes. Mom said she didn't have much choice in who she was, but she loved us. Jake nodded. Every family has its own baggage. His tone was soft, but the weight of his words hung in the air. Sometimes it's hard to know if you're carrying it or if it's carrying you. A short silence settled between them, thick with unexpressed fears and hopes. Just then, Jake flipped over a faded photo and revealed a scrap of paper taped to the back. Wait, what's this? He said, pulling it off delicately. The paper felt fragile, like it could crumble at any moment. Jake squinted at the faded ink and began to read it aloud. This is a message to my dear sister, Caroline, he began. I hope one day you find the strength to seek the truth about our family. You deserve to know the love we have long hidden from you. I've never heard about an aunt named Caroline, Sarah whispered, her heart racing. Jake flipped further through the stack, his breath quickening. This might be it. This must be the family member they were talking about. Another letter slipped from the pile, landing softly on the table. Jake picked it up, eyes wide. This is dated only a few years before they moved here. What does it say? Sarah urged, her palms sweaty. It's from Caroline. She mentions a reunion, a gathering of the family. Jake paused, but there is something that changed everything. Sarah leaned in closer, her pulse pounding in her ears. What do you mean? It says, they are out there waiting for us, but some doors once closed must stay that way, for their love may not be what it seems. Jake's voice trailed off, confusion etched across his face. What on earth does that mean? Sarah felt a chill. What kind of love? I don't know, Jake said, frustration creeping into his voice as he massaged his temples. But it sounds like there were things they wanted to keep hidden. The flickering lamp cast shadows across their faces as they sat in stunned silence. The weight of the secrets began to settle in, an unsettling realization that perhaps they were not just uncovering family history, but stepping into a labyrinth of complex emotions and unresolved conflicts. What if digging deeper leads us to something we weren't prepared to uncover? Sarah wondered aloud, a mix of anxiety and excitement swirling in her gut. Jake met her gaze, determination etching deeper lines on his forehead. We can't turn back now, can we? We've come too far. Whatever it is, we'll face it together. like we promised. As they prepared to delve back into the pile, a soft knocking interrupted their thoughts. The sudden sound resonated through the room, eliciting a quick jump from both of them. Sarah glanced toward the door, her stomach twisting with both fear and anticipation. "Should we see who it is?" Jake whispered, his voice barely audible against the backdrop of their sudden pause. "Yeah," Sarah replied, her heart racing as she stood. As she approached the door, she hesitated. Could this unexpected visitor be another thread to the tangled web of their family history? Or was it just another puff of wind that would blow away their fragile discoveries? Taking a deep breath, she reached for the doorknob, her mind racing with possibilities. What awaited them on the other side? A stranger, or perhaps the missing link they never knew they were searching for? With shaky hands, she opened the door, ready to confront whatever truth lay ahead. The door creaked open slowly, revealing a figure silhouetted against the hallway light. Sarah squinted, trying to make out the details in the dim glow. There, standing with a hesitant smile, was an older woman with wisps of silver hair catching the light. "Hello," she said softly, her voice a whisper wrapped in warmth. "I hope I'm not interrupting anything important." Sarah blinked in surprise. "Can I help you?" The woman's eyes twinkled with a hint of recognition. "I've been looking for you, Sarah. Looking for a long time." "What do you mean?" Jake stepped forward protectively, placing a hand on Sarah's shoulder. The woman took a cautious step inside, as if waiting for an invitation to enter their space. "I'm Caroline, your aunt." The words hung in the air like an unfinished song. Sarah's heart raced, every emotion swirling: confusion, disbelief, hope. "But how? I thought you were lost." Caroline finished for her, her voice heavy with emotion. "I was lost, yes, but I never stopped looking for you, for your mother, for the truth." Jake glanced at Sarah, his expression a mix of wonder and caution. "You have letters from our family," he said, trying to grasp the reality building before them. "Yes, I wrote them," Caroline admitted, a touch of sadness settling into her tone. "I never had the chance to deliver them. There were reasons I thought I had to keep my distance." Sarah felt a rush of questions flood her mind, colliding into one another like a storm. "Why? What happened? And what did you mean about things being hidden?" Caroline hesitated, glancing at the scattered letters on the table. "There is so much to unpack. I don't know where to begin." "Just start with what we need to know," Jake insisted, his voice steady but concerned. "There is a family history we need to understand." Caroline nodded, stepping further into the room, her voice cracking as she spoke. "Your mother made sacrifices. She thought she was protecting you both. But sometimes," she paused, breathing deeply, "the truth is the very thing that can save us." Sarah felt her chest tighten. "What truth?" Caroline's eyes brimmed with unspilled tears. "It's about love, Sarah. The kind of love that has binding ties: family, allegiance, secrets." Her voice dropped to a whisper, "and betrayal." A prickly silence enveloped them. Sarah felt overwhelmed, each word igniting an urgency inside her. They had barely scraped the surface of the letters when now, here stood a living link to the family they barely knew. "What do you know about my mom?" Sarah's voice broke slightly, the weight of the moment pressing hard against her chest. "I know she was brave," Caroline replied, pain flickering across her face. "But it came with a price. And the choices made in the past could change everything for you now. If you're willing to hear." Jake squeezed Sarah's hand tightly. "We're ready. Whatever it is." Caroline took a deep breath, emotions bubbling to the surface. "Then it's time to uncover the truth, together. Not just for you, but for the memories we thought were lost forever." As they shared anticipatory glances, the room pulsed with the promise of revelation. Sarah's heart raced not from fear, but from something deeper. Could this moment be the key to unlocking everything, the very reason they had delved into their family's past? "Let me tell you about the reunion," Caroline said at last, her voice softer but filled with resolve. "And the secrets that have lingered too long in the shadows." The truth felt just within reach. But would it heal or shatter what was left of their fragile family? Caroline took a moment, her gaze drifting to the old family photographs plastered on the walls, each frame telling stories of lives lived and loves lost. She seemed caught in a reverie before gently shaking her head, clearing the fog of memories that clouded her thoughts. "Your mother," she began, her voice steadying. "She was part of something significant. Something that required sacrifice, Sarah." You were born into it, an inheritance of secrets. A shiver ran down Sarah's spine as her mind raced to grasp the implications of Caroline's words. Jake stood beside her, a grounding presence. What was it? What did she sacrifice? Caroline steadied herself, locking eyes with Sarah. Many years ago, there was a family conflict, one that divided us. Your mother, she wanted to leave it all behind to protect you. But doing so meant leaving people in pain. And unanswered questions lingered. People? Sarah echoed, her heart pounding. Who are we talking about? Caroline sighed, the weight of her family's past pressing down like a heavy cloak. Your grandparents, my brother and sister-in-law. They were involved in something dangerous. When your mother broke away, it severed ties. I always believed it was for the best until I found out the truth. Is it true? Jake asked, a protective edge in his voice. Do you know what your brother was involved in? Caroline drew closer, speaking low as if sharing a secret meant for only them. There were ties to something shady, yes, but also something powerful. I didn't want to believe it, but there were connections that ran deep, and they led to corruption, lies, and betrayal. Your mother thought she was breaking free, but she carried the burdens of our family. Tension filled the room. The shadows seemed to stretch longer as Sarah's fingers fidgeted with the edge of a letter, longing to know its contents but scared of the answers hidden within. You said she was brave. Did you think she made the wrong choice? I believe she did what she thought was right. But the history, it's haunted me and left us with pieces that refuse to fit. It's as if we've all been running from it, and now it's come back to us. You needed to know, Caroline admitted, her voice trembling. I need you to know. What can we do? Sarah asked, her voice barely a whisper, tinged with desperation and longing for clarity. How can we change this? Caroline reached for Sarah's hands, squeezing them gently. You have the power to confront it. You can choose to seek the truth. But you must decide if it's worth uncovering now. Once opened, the wounds may bleed again. Jake's steadfast grip tightened around Sarah's shoulder, providing her with a sense of security amidst uncertainty. We're all in this together, he reassured, glancing at Caroline. We can face whatever it is as a family. Sarah took a deep breath, her mind swirling. Could they truly part the curtain of time? Could they face the ghosts of the past? Caroline, what do we need to do? Caroline glanced toward the letters scattered on the table, her expression somber yet hopeful. There's a family reunion set for next month. It's a chance to confront those ties directly, to ask questions you never thought to ask. But what if it leads to more danger? Jake interjected, skepticism creeping into his voice. It might, Caroline admitted. But it might also lead to healing, to understanding where you come from, and possibly even reclaiming the family we've lost. Sarah's heart raced. This was it. A choice laid out before her. A fork in the road leading to generations' worth of answers, and possibly danger too. I want to know my mother's truth, she said, determination sharpening her tone. We're doing this. As they exchanged looks filled with a blend of fear and resolve, a profound silence settled in the room. The shadows of doubt danced on the walls, but so did flickers of hope. They were on the brink of a journey that could alter their names forever, a reunion waiting to unfurl, holding the very essence of their family's past. Just then, a loud crash echoed from the kitchen, startling them from their focused intensity. A moment of silence hung before Caroline's eyes widened with anticipation and dread. What was that? Stay here, Jake shouted, instinctively stepping between Sarah and the doorway. In the chaos, uncertainty loomed large, shaping their fate as they prepared to face whatever awaited them. Would the reunion's truths be worth the perils lurking just beyond their door? Footsteps shuffled in the kitchen, heavy and uncertain. Jake's heart raced as he turned toward the sound, every instinct screaming for caution. We should check it out, he said, but Caroline held him back with a firm grip on his arm. Let me go first, she insisted, her voice low and steady. Sarah felt her own breath quicken. The air felt charged, thick with a mix of fear and anticipation. Caroline stepped cautiously, her body taut, each move deliberate. Sarah and Jake followed closely, their hearts hammering in tandem. The door creaked open, revealing a kitchen dimly lit by an overhead bulb swinging gently, casting shadows that danced across the floor. The sight that greeted them was startling. A shattered plate lay in pieces on the floor, a few hand-stitched napkins scattered about like lost thoughts. But more alarming was the figure hunched by the dining table, rifling through the scattered items. "Who are you?" Sarah gasped, the surprise clear in her voice. The figure stood up slowly, revealing a man with tousled hair and weary eyes. He wiped his hands on his jeans, as if trying to eliminate the evidence of his actions. "I wasn't expecting anyone." He trailed off, a hint of surprise flickering across his features. "Who are you?" Jake asked again, stepping forward, his voice firm and protective. I'm Eric," the man stammered, visibly anxious. "I'm a family friend. I came to drop something off for Caroline." "Drop something off?" Caroline echoed, skepticism coloring her tone. "You didn't think to call?" Eric shifted uncomfortably. "I didn't think you'd be here. I'm sorry for the mess. I dropped the plate when I heard voices." Jake moved to stand in front of Sarah, eyes narrowing. "What did you come to drop off?" Eric glanced down, his gaze falling on the cliffhanger of cards strewn across the table. "It was a letter. I thought you should see it." Caroline stepped closer, her voice lowering now, curiosity weaving through her caution. "What does it say?" Eric hesitated, wiping his palms against his jeans again. "It's about your family, about your mother." A chill filled the room. Sarah could feel the atmosphere change, thickening with unspoken secrets. "What do you mean?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "I was asked to deliver it long ago," Eric admitted, glancing nervously at Caroline. "But it's dangerous. You don't fully understand what you're getting into." "We're already in it," Jake retorted, his protective instinct firing. "Just tell us the truth." With a resigned nod, Eric reached into his pocket and pulled out a folded piece of paper, handing it to Caroline, who accepted it with trembling hands. Sarah watched, her heart pounding, unsure if it was excitement or fear. Caroline unfolded the letter slowly. As she scanned the words, it became apparent that this was no ordinary note. A mixture of surprise and horror rippled across her face. "I can't believe this. It's about the family conflict," she spoke, her voice growing soft. "Things I feared." "What is it?" Sarah urged, leaning in, feeling impatiently anxious. "What does it say?" Eric spoke again, the weight of urgency filling the air. "There are names in that letter, people connected to your mother and your grandparents. You must read it, but be aware it may lead you deeper into our shared past. You may find truths, and those truths are not always kind." "What do you mean?" Jake pressed, his voice steady but laced with tension. Caroline didn't respond immediately, her eyes glued to the letter. Finally, she spoke, her voice a whisper. "It's about the sacrifices again. The very things your mother wanted to shield you from." Sarah felt her stomach knot with dread and curiosity all at once. "What if this puts us in danger?" she ventured, fear creeping into her thoughts. "If we don't confront it now, we might never know," Jake insisted, his gaze fierce, his support unwavering. "Whatever this is, we face it together." Just as Caroline opened her mouth to speak, the doorbell rang, echoing through the tension-filled room. "Who could that be?" Eric muttered, glancing nervously at the door. "More surprises, I guess," Jake said, tension mounting again. The doorbell rang out again, a demanding knell slicing through the air. Feeling an unsettling pull toward the unknown, Sarah steadied herself. They weren't alone in this. Whatever was happening, it was far from over. She took a deep, steadying breath. What do we do now? As shadows encroached upon them, the weight of secrets and the thrill of the unknown combined into a daunting promise of revelations waiting just beyond the door. Would they find answers, or would they uncover something that could shatter everything? Caroline hesitated, the letter still clutched tightly in her fingers. The ringing doorbell seemed to reverberate against her racing heart, demanding action. She exchanged glances with Jake and Sarah, measuring the uncertainty painted across their faces. "Should we just ignore it?" Sarah suggested nervously, her mind racing between escape and confrontation. "No," Jake said firmly. "We can't back down now. Not after everything." Caroline steeled herself and took a deep breath. She moved toward the door, each step feeling heavier than the last. Eric shifted uneasily behind them, cracking his knuckles as his gaze darted back and forth. "Just be careful," he urged, tension tinging his voice. Caroline nodded, though doubt nestled in the corners of her mind. What more could be waiting for them? She placed her hand on the doorknob, the chill of the metal radiating through her fingers. Taking another deep breath, she turned the knob and pulled the door open. A cold gust of wind rushed in, tangling strands of hair around her face. Standing there was a tall woman, her features obscured by the night's shadows, but the intensity in her eyes pierced through the gloom. "Caroline," the woman said, her voice shaking slightly. "Do we know you?" Caroline asked, confusion flooding her senses. "I'm Rachel," the woman replied softly, her gaze darting to the sides, as if expecting a hidden threat. "I've been looking for you. For your family." Jake stepped in front of Caroline protectively, casting a wary look at Rachel. "Why? What do you know about us?" Rachel took a step back, raising her hands in a peaceful gesture. "I swear I don't mean any harm. I need to talk to you. It's about your mother." That single phrase sent chills down Caroline's spine. The air felt electric, as if the universe itself was leaning in to listen. "My mother?" Caroline echoed, her pulse quickening. "What do you know?" "Please, let me in," Rachel said urgently. "You need to hear this. It's about the letter." "Another one?" Sarah interjected, a note of disbelief in her voice. "What is going on?" Sensing the weight of unspoken history in the air, Caroline glanced back at Eric, who looked equally stunned. "We should hear her out," he said, though doubt flickered in his eyes. Reluctantly, they stepped aside to let Rachel enter. The moment she crossed the threshold, her presence seemed to fill the room with apprehension. The doors shut behind her, sealing them in this tapestry of secrets. "Your mother left something behind," Rachel began, her gaze locking onto Caroline's. "Something important. You need to understand what it means and the choices she made to protect you." "What choices? What did she do?" Caroline asked, desperation creeping into her voice. Rachel hesitated, clearly weighing the words that could change everything. "Your mother was part of something deep-rooted in our community's history. She tried to keep you away from it, but the truth is it's coming back. It's your legacy." Sarah's heart raced as the implications settled in the air. "Is that why we felt all this pressure? All these secrets floating around?" "Yes," Rachel affirmed. "And they're only going to intensify. There are people looking for answers, and you are entangled in all of it." "What do we do?" Caroline demanded, her voice a mixture of anger and authority. Rachel stepped closer, her expression earnest. "You need to read the letter, and together, you must stand against the coming storm. You may find that the truth about your past is not what it seems." The tension thickened, palpable as Caroline's fingers tightened around the letter she still held. She could feel her breath quickening, the weight of choices piling up like snowflakes. The future was about to thrust itself upon them, revealing shadows they had yet to encounter. "Stay together," Jake urged, his voice resolute. "Whatever we do it as one." But as they prepared to face the truths within the letter and the dangers beyond the door, none could shake the feeling that something much larger was at stake. Every moment felt like it was charged with a purpose, as secrets waited, just beneath the surface, ready to surface. What would happen when they ripped down the walls of their past? Outside, night deepened, shrouding their unfolding fate in uncertainty. In that stillness, a storm was brewing, and they were at the eye of it all. Would they be able to uncover the truth without losing themselves in the process? Caroline's throat felt dry, almost constricting as she gripped the letter. The dim light of the living room flickered, accentuating the shadows wrapping around them like a thick fog. Rachel stood there, her eyes darting among the four of them, her fingers shaking slightly at her sides. The weight of what was unspoken hung in the air. "Okay," Caroline finally said, her voice firm yet trembling. "Let us start from the beginning. What do you know about my mother in this letter?" Rachel inhaled deeply, her gaze level with Caroline's. "Your mother? She was involved in something fragile. A secret that intertwined many lives, yours included. She made choices to protect you. You have to understand, those choices were never easy for her." Jake's protective stance didn't waver. "And how do you fit into all of this? What do you want from us?" "I want to help you," Rachel asserted, her voice softening. "I didn't just come here on a whim. I've lost everything because of this, too. My family, my place in this community, it's all slipping away." "What do you mean?" Eric interjected, a frown creasing his brow. "What is at stake?" Rachel took a step closer, her voice dropping, almost a whisper. "There are forces, people who want to control this secret. They believe that by finding you, they can dig up whatever it is your mother tried to bury. They see you kids as a way to leverage that power." "What power?" Caroline pressed, each word hanging thick with urgency. "The power of knowledge. The past can be a weapon, Rachel replied, eyes flashing with intensity. Your mother may have had her reasons, but her choices aren't just hers anymore. They belong to you now. A silence stretched, filled only by the creaking of the old house settling around them. Caroline felt the words wrap around her like chains, binding her to a history she never sought to uncover. What do I have to do with this? Everything, Rachel insisted. You need to read the letter. It will give you a glimpse into what your mother wanted to protect you from, but it can also guide you. It's a decision point. Without thinking, Caroline stretched out her hand, the letter trembling within her grasp, as if sensing the gravity of the moment. She opened it slowly, the paper crackling like the tension in the room. Wait, you don't have to do this right now, Sarah said, her voice tinged with concern. This feels huge. What if you're not ready for it? Caroline paused, staring at the neatly penned words. Panic rushed in. Would reading it tear apart the fragile calm they had? She felt the world closing in. But was she willing to let fear dictate her fate? I'll read it, she said firmly, crossing the divide between doubt and resolve. I need to know. Jake squeezed her shoulder, a grounding presence in the swirling uncertainty. We're here, no matter what. With a deep breath, Caroline unfolded the letter fully, her eyes scanning the familiar yet strange handwriting. The room fell into a tense hush, each person holding their breath as if this revelation held the power to reshape their lives. Rachel leaned in closer, intent and focused, as if seeking to glean insight from Caroline's reaction. As she began to read, a sound outside captured their attention, a distant rumble, like thunder approaching. The storm that had been brewing felt imminent. Caroline's heart raced, anticipation mingling with dread. Just as she got to the first revelation, the front window rattled, and a flicker of lightning illuminated the room, momentarily casting eerie shadows on their faces. Did you hear that? Eric asked, eyes wide. Then, the front door rattled violently, a loud bang echoing through the house. Everyone jolted, fear knitting their brows together as they exchanged wide-eyed glances. Get ready, Jake said, tension taut in his voice. What is out there? Whatever it is, it wants to know the truth too, Rachel warned, her voice strained. Stay united if we're going to face this storm. Caroline took a step closer to the window, catching glimpses of dark figures just beyond the street lamp's glow. Who were they? What were they after? The letter quivered in her hands, the words on the page seeming to pulse with a life of their own. Would they lead her to safety or more danger? Heart pounding, she turned back to her friends, solidarity igniting within her. Whatever awaited them outside, they were ready. Together. But as she looked into their eyes, they shared a silent understanding. This was only the beginning. What secrets lay ahead, and how deep did this rabbit hole really go? Caroline could only hope that the truth would either set them free or bind them tighter. The storm howled outside, rattling windows and shaking the very foundations of Caroline's home. Fear gripped them, but within that surge of uncertainty, a flicker of determination ignited. They stood shoulder to shoulder, Caroline, Sarah, Jake, and Eric united against the tempest both within and outside. Stay close, Jake said, his voice steady as he moved to block the window, his body a shield for his sister and Caroline. The pounding rain echoed like a beating heart, urging them to face what was lurking just beyond the fragile barrier of their home. Caroline pulled the letter closer, her fingers trembling not from fear, but from an overwhelming need to uncover its truths. She took a breath, steadied her resolve, and began to read aloud. Dearest Caroline, if you're reading this, we are lost in the grip of something far more significant than we ever imagined. The room fell silent, Rachel leaning closer, listening intently. You must understand our choices were born of love, but also of sacrifice. We thought we were protecting you, shielding you from forces that would seek to control or harm. Tears brimmed in Caroline's eyes as she waded through memories of her childhood, grasping at fleeting shadows of the mother who had worked tirelessly to keep her safe. She could feel the depth of her mother's pain weaving through the words, each sentence a reminder of the burden she had carried. What else does it say? Eric urged gently, eyes wide with curiosity and concern. Caroline continued, her voice thick with emotion. There is a group, one that seeks to reclaim what was lost. They believe our family holds the key to secrets of great power, a power they are willing to kill for. A shiver ran through everyone at the weight of those words, as if the air itself thickened with the gravity of their meaning. Kill, Sarah whispered, fear creeping into her tone. Yes, Caroline replied, her resolve solidifying. We need to face this together. If my mother hid this to protect us, we have to confront those secrets to honor her sacrifice. Suddenly, the door groaned under the ferocity of the wind, rattling like a warning bell. We're going to need a plan, Jake said, glancing at his sister with fierce determination. If they're after us, we need to stand together. Rachel nodded, urgency lighting her eyes. We can't hide anymore. It's about confronting the past and reclaiming your story. You have to know who you are to overcome what is coming. Caroline felt a surge of power course through her veins. Then let us face them. We're not running from this. We will uncover the truth and confront whoever is after us. They all nodded, committed in that moment. The fear that had threatened to overtake them transformed into fierce solidarity. The storm outside roared like a battle cry, the very fabric of their lives trembling under its fury as they moved to the door. Caroline felt the letter cradled against her chest, its weight a reminder of the love and sacrifices binding them. She felt empowered, a warrior striding into the unknown. We are the architects of our future, she declared, drawing strength from her companions. It's time to reclaim our story. With that, they opened the door to face the storm that awaited them outside, truths and dangers swirling together, like dark clouds gathering above. Together, they stepped into the uncertain night, hearts beating as one, ready to embrace the shadows for the answers they desperately sought. As they made their way through the downpour, each step solidified their newfound bond, a family forged in the very fire of fear and bravery. Whatever awaited them on this path, they would face it together because family was not just a matter of blood, but a choice they made to stand beside each other in the face of adversity. And as the rain poured down, they could feel a sense of calm wash over them. For the first time, they were not just facing the memories of the past. They were ready to forge a future unmarred by the shadows that once haunted them. Together, they would uncover the truth. Together, they would overcome. As they disappeared into the storm, one thing was clear: no matter what lay ahead, they would rise united, determined to uncover the legacy of their family, not as lost children, but as brave warriors stepping boldly into their own destiny. Now that you've traveled alongside Caroline and her family through the storm of secrets and revelations, it's your time to take action. You need to subscribe now to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories that unfold. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show your support for stories that matter. Comment your reactions and feelings about this thrilling ending. Your thoughts are important to us. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Let us spread the word of hope and resilience.